What's good, y'all? It's your girl, Tika Deshawn. Thank you all so much for tapping in and tuning in to All Things Ruthless, home of the Ruthless Addicts. We're here for the recap. Tyler Perry's Zatima, Season 2, Episode 16, entitled Gamble at Love. So when we last saw Zach, he was at the construction site with Paul as well as Bryce, and basically he was also there with Valerie, just trying to have a conversation about this property that Zach refuses to purchase. He says that he doesn't trust Bryce. He says that he only has about $1.5 million remaining, and he doesn't want to invest $500,000 into a property that's not guaranteed. He also lets Bryce know that he doesn't trust him. You betrayed me when you did what you did. So right now, Zach has trust issues with Bryce, especially when it comes to dealing with his money. But then we have a heart to heart. We see where Valerie lets Zach know, listen, yes, Paul is my ex. He's not my current husband. He is my ex. And yes, we're still good friends. And so we still call each other honey. So then we hear that Paul has a conversation with Zach and let Zach know, listen, the only way to get into Fatima or to get Fatima back is that you have to give her your heart, not just your a piece of your heart. You have to give her your whole heart. You have to be open with her. You have to be completely transparent with her. If not, you're definitely going to lose her. And basically, you're going to make room for a man like me who deserves a woman like Fatima to come into their lives, and y'all are no longer going to exist. So, of course, this is very good advice, but coming from Paul, Zach does not want to hear this. And of course, there's some little snide remarks between Zach, mostly Zach, because Paul doesn't come immature. He comes, straight up man info, and he says what he has to say, and then he carries on. Of course, Zach can't handle it because who wants to hear or wants to get advice from another man that is trying to get with your woman, okay? So then we see Fatima. I told y'all I was wondering how Fatima was going to get out of this situation with Jasmine. Well, it seems that Fatima has called in a private investigator who works with Andy, and she basically tells him, hey, I want you to check out this female right here, blah, blah, blah. This is who it is. She's suing me. And she says that she can't work, but I want to see if it's true, if she's still able to work. So she basically gives him a picture of Deja and also lets him know where she works. And, it's a strip club, so just be prepared and let me know whether or not she's actually in there dancing. And then, so this is how I think if Deja is in the club dancing, this is how Fatima is going to get out of this lawsuit. But we don't know just yet. We'll have to see what happens. So then we see at the barbershop, Mr. Tyrone is hilarious. I'm going to give you guys a clip of Mr. Tyrone. He's always coming with some craziness, some words of his version of words of inspiration. However, the fellas, they look up to him. He's an older gentleman, so they're going to look up to him and give him that respect and allow him the space to say whatever he wants to say. So then Zach is at the barbershop and he's asking him, can you give me a lineup? And Mr. Tyrone is like, didn't I already give you a lineup? So Zach is there saying, look, I just want to be cleaned up. I have a dinner tonight that I want to be, ready for, look nice and neat and clean cut. Of course, Zach has to continue to make a good impression on Fatima's parents, who he's going to have dinner with later on in the night. So then we see Fatima, and she's just talking to Angela, of course, always confiding in her girl, because that's just what they do. I don't know what part of the law firm Fatima or Angela actually works in, but she does go there and shows Fatima the phone and explains to her, yeah, your girl Belinda did it, and I don't know what's wrong with her. She said she was on some shrooms, but I don't know. And Fatima proceeds to say, well, she's unalived to me. She's like, I don't rock with her anymore. So with that being said, I hope nothing happens to Belinda, even though she did Fatima wrong. I hope nothing happens to her because Fatima's words could come back to haunt her when she says she's unalive to her. Her words could come back and haunt her. So you gotta be careful of the words that you say because you never know what could happen. So anyway, we make our way to Fatima's parents' home where Fatima has made her way in with her purple Rakadushi outfit on. I'm loving it. It's purple. It is what it is. So she sits down and she's like, is persistent, letting her mom know, look, make sure he knows this wasn't my idea. So then we get a knock at the door, and of course it is the one and only Zach Attack. Zach is at the door, and of course his pops, his father-in-law, eventually Henry, Mr. Henry, he actually likes Zach. He kind of reminds, he sees a little of Zach in himself, and they all assure Fatima that, look, this was not Zach's idea. This was our idea because we have some things that we want to share with you. The parents also proceed to apologize to Zach, letting him know, look, we apologize for the way we reacted towards you. It's just some things that I didn't want Fatima to experience based on what I experienced. Now they all sit down at the dinner table, and again they're having this conversation, and then we find out that the papa wasn't the Rolling Stone, it was Fatima's mama. So Fatima's mama was out there in them streets, and she had an affair on her husband, Mr. Henry. But then we find out once Mr. Henry found out, he went out and was wilding out. He was in the streets too. So he had a moment of Papa was a Rolling Stone too, but then they had to figure it out, came back together, came to a conclusion that, we were going to work things out. We're going to be in this relationship. And they're here they are now throughout the obstacles. They are here still standing, and they are still together. So Zach, you can look at Zach, and the way I love this image right here, like they are looking at each other like they really, really, really love each other. I like this image. I really do. So anyway, Zach is just like looking at her, hoping that she's going to say, okay, I'm going to go home with you now. But it unfortunately doesn't end up just like that. So again, with the conversation, with the meal that they've had, at the end of the conversation, Zach's mom, or Fatima's mom, hands Zach a to-go box and lets him know, hey, just heat it up for a few seconds, blah, blah, blah. The food is going to be just as good. So she's really trying to get back in good with Zach, even after all of the, problems or chaos that she kind of assisted in their relationship. So she's trying to get back in good with Zach. But then we see Zach and Fatima at the car. And of course, Fatima's not folding. She's not going home with Zach. He says, I'll leave the door open. She says, well, somebody's going to break in. You can't be leaving your door open. But, he's still trying. He's not giving up. He's let Fatima know, hey, I love you. I really love you, and I miss you, and I want you to come back home. So then we see Fatima and Angela having another conversation, as always, because Angela's going to wait up and get the report from Fatima on as to what happened. I guess so she can kind of check Fatima's emotional state, make sure Fatima is okay throughout all of this stuff that's going on. But Fatima's like, no, I'm not ready to go back home yet. I'm not ready to go back to Zach yet. And she's like, you must want me to move out. And Andrew's like, no, girl, it ain't like that. But just make sure you put your headphones on tonight because it's about to go down. And Fatima says, is Bryce coming over? And she's like, no, girl, not Bryce, Sam. So Sam is the dude that Paul hooked up Angela with. So I don't know if Bryce, you might be out the door for good now at this point. So then we see, back at the house, we see Zach, and Connie walks up and she's like, Zach, I need to talk to you. He's like, what is it now, Connie? Because, he's trying to shake Connie off, not really trying to roll with her or mess with her or be in anything that's going to mess him up with Fatima, and no compromising positions or anything. But then she tells him, it's about your mother. So with that, you guys, something has happened to Zach's mom. We see that she ends up in the hospital, and it's probably, knowing, unfortunately, with Zach's mom, it may be an OD. It could be anything. She could have gotten injured some kind of way. But at the end of the day, we're going to see that she is at the hospital in a very bad situation with tubes and everything running through her nose. So it's going to be bad for Zach. So this is definitely going to be a moment where it's going to be determined whether Zach, who he falls to, who he runs to. Is it going to be Connie or is it going to be Fatima? Okay. All right, y'all. Well, that's about it. That's it for you girls recap. Tika Deshawn, all things Ruthless, home of the Ruthless Addicts. If you're new to my channel, finding me for the very first time, please hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you can receive reminders of new Ruthless content. Okay. All right, y'all. That's about it. Thank you so much for tapping in and tuning in. And you already know, stay ruthless.